This marks the third anniversary of the oil train disaster in Lac Mégantic, Quebec, which killed 47 people and destroyed their town. Raise your hand if you've heard of this terrible occurrence. You will hear more about these kinds of accidents a little later as we go along. This vigil is one of many of them across North America tonight. We are part of a Stop Oil Trains Week of Action, July 6th through the 12th. July 6th is the anniversary itself, so that's the night we chose. We come out tonight to remember those who have suffered where dirty fossil fuel industry's business model has put profit over people. We come because we demand a healthy, safe, and stable climate future for our children and their children. Thank you. Future generations, as you know, cannot speak for themselves, so it is up to us. Tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce the Raging Grannies of Eugene, who dedicate themselves to the thriving of those who come after us, our children. Please help me give a warm welcome to Eugene's very own Raging Grannies.
Are you listening? Are you listening? Governor Brown, Governor Brown. Take a stand on oil trains, take a stand on oil trains, take a stand on oil trains, take a stand on oil trains. Are you listening? Are you listening? Governor Brownie, Governor Brownie, warning bells are ringing, Granny's cameras ringing, warning bells are ringing, Granny's cameras ringing. Are you listening? Are you listening? Governor Brownie, Governor Brownie, Governor Brownie, Governor Brownie, take a stand on oil trains, take a stand on oil trains. Are you listening? Are you listening? Governor Brownie, Governor Brownie, warning bells are ringing, Governor Brownie, warning bells are ringing, ready tenders ringing. Save the earth, save the earth.
Litakein olam b'malchut Shaddai. Litakein olam b'malchut Shaddai. Litakein olam b'malchut Shaddai. Litakein olam b'malchut Shaddai. Let's do this.
You know, these trains, nothing wholesome, nothing good, nothing life-giving comes from them rolling through this or any community. No Sabbath mood is left in their way. So for today, the work that we will leave our hands aching and our faces sweating for the sake of the world is clear.
It's because people in Lac Mégantic, Quebec, are in solidarity with you tonight. They are here by way of a person named Jacques Gagnon. They're from a Lac Mégantic solidarity group, and they're reaching out to the Western folks who are getting together in vigils and everywhere. And here is what he said. In this week, where are we? We are remembering the tragedy of the 6th of July, 2013. We, the activists of Lac Mégantic, affirm our solidarity with the West Coast activists, who, like all of us, are questioning the transportation of crude oil by rail on crumbling rail infrastructure. In this third year that we have acknowledged of the inherent dangers of transporting oil by rail, we have a lot of work to do to ensure the safety of frontline communities. The recent derailment in June the 3rd, 2016 in Mosier, Oregon reminds us that we need to work to change the regulations. The oil industry needs to stop exploiting communities and instead reduce its oil transportation activities. Rather than ramping it up, It's also essential that the Canadian and U.S. governments adopt stricter norms and regulations concerning the quality of our rail systems. Jacques goes on, I know we are all working towards a common cause, and working for the public good means changing the status quo. No more business as usual. Public safety needs to be a top priority for our legislators. Our fight is very important. In the memory of the 47 victims of Lac Mégantic, we will continue this battle. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you give your kind attention to Dan Sears, my favorite Columbia River caper, and soon to be yours. Dan.
So the oil train issue has been something we've been watching for about 3 years, and with a whole coalition of groups, there have been people all over North America fighting to stop reckless oil trains for 3 years since that disaster in Lac Mégantic. That happened on July 6, 2013. Just a week or two later, the Port of Vancouver signed a deal for the largest oil-by-rail terminal in North America. 360,000 barrels of oil in trains. And so for 3 years, along with folks like the Sierra Club, I should credit Cécile Grenez, who translated that. I do not speak French, and so I was very grateful to have someone who did nearby. People have been really waiting for either a decision to stop the reckless oil train traffic or an event that would be emphatic enough to make us stop. And on June 3rd, an oil train derailed in the Columbia River Gorge in what many called a wake-up call. It wasn't really a wake-up call. People were awake and wide awake. In fact, some of us were sitting in a meeting about what we would do if an oil train derailed and spilled into the Columbia River when the oil train derailed and spilled into the Columbia River. One of our attorneys' wife works at the school that had to be evacuated, so we knew very quickly that there was a problem. And our executive director drove to the scene and was there before the fire people. And what he described over the phone to me was just terrifying. You know, them trying to ferry students away, a fire burning so close to the school that if the wind had been blowing at all, even just like tonight, a light breeze, it would have blown it directly into Mosier. So, to their credit, folks in Mosier are taking up this cause the way the people in Lac Mégantic have. And their fire chief has been very vocal and said, this is insane. This is an insane idea to keep shifting these oil trains down the gradient through that gap in the Cascade Range we call the Columbia River Gorge. Eugene isn't off the hook. You have the Union Pacific line coming through Eugene. They're obviously the rail company that was supposed to be carrying these oil trains. What happened in Mosier was very bad, but it could have been worse. They had 16 cars derail. 4 of those spilled, and that caused that huge plume of fire that we were watching well into the night on June 3rd. They finally extinguished early in the morning on June 4th, and that spilled 42,000 gallons of crude oil, according to them. It may be a larger number, into the area right there where Rock Creek feeds into the Columbia River. Critical salmon habitat for sockeye salmon. Very important area for the tribal fishery, for the Columbia River tribes. Within a week, we saw Senator Merkley, Senator Wyden, and Governor Brown, to their credit, come out and call for a moratorium on oil trains. They didn't do that out of their own good hearts. They did it because they heard from people all over the state, including people from Eugene. So thank you for standing up and standing with the people of Mosier.
Look at the smoke swirling in the sky. Listen to the storms and ask the question, why? Decide to end big oil's rule, break free from fossil fuels. Look, way back they saw climate change was near. Listen. They covered up what we all fear. Decide to prosecute the fraud that they grew because big oil knew.
So yeah, I had the pleasure this past week of running a climate art camp, a 350 climate art camp with 16 middle schoolers. And we did a lot of learning about the bomb trains, learning about fossil fuels, and making art like this banner here. And so I brought a couple of my campers here today to share with you all their thoughts on the bomb trains and fossil fuels. So, first up.
Last week in camp, we learned about how dangerous and deadly oil train accidents can be. We had talked about how explosive crude oil is, but seeing the footage of the deadly accident in Quebec 3 years ago and the explosion in Mosier, Oregon just last month was what made me realize how scary these bomb trains really are. It's crazy to think that an explosion like that could happen any day here in Eugene or in other communities in our region. During camp, we looked at the blast zone map and learned that a lot of my friends live in or right next to the blast zone. We couldn't believe it. How had we never heard of oil trains before? It seems impossible that oil train companies can legally send trains like this through our cities without telling anyone.
The damage caused by burning fossil fuels is a much bigger problem than just these trains, but before we stop using fossil fuels altogether, we need to stop the problem in our own backyard. We shut down their pipelines, and now they're worried because they know we are going to stop them. They send their 100-car oil trains through our cities at night so no one will see. We can take a stand here in our own communities to say no to dirty oil and no to climate change.
I did not know how many of these freaking trains just run through our town every day. Or as my friend would say, trains go boom. Another type of thing. We need to stop these oil trains right now. We cannot have these oil trains run through our town at night while we sleep and do stuff. We have to finish using fossil fuels. Thank you.
In camp, when we learned about fossil fuels and bomb trains, my friends and I were really hit by the urgency of this problem. However, a lot of times when I talk to adults about climate change issues, they see it as just another problem and don't seem to be as concerned as we are. I wanted to thank you all for coming here tonight and to not only remember those who died in the tragic accident in Quebec, but also to envision a better world for my generation. Stopping dangerous fossil fuels is an urgent problem that we need to fix right now, and it starts with us. Let's keep it in the ground. Thank you.
Truly, thank you all for coming here tonight. It really takes an intergenerational movement to get this kind of work done, and we cannot afford to increase our oil infrastructure. We need to kill it in its tracks right now. Let's do this. We need action. Thank you.
So some young adults care so much about the environment that they come all the way over from Europe. And I have had the great fortune this summer of working with them. So 4 of my students are here. 2 of them are going to speak to you tonight.
Thank you so much for getting the opportunity to say a few words at this event. And I feel sad when I think about the oil train derailment in Canada. And I get really upset when I hear that such oil trains pass through the center of this city. And my name is Håkon, and I'm currently attending an environmental study program at the University of Oregon. And together with 21 other students from 17 different European countries, we are learning about global climate change and local environmental issues by meeting different stakeholders in Oregon.
My name's Madeline, and I'm from the United Kingdom. I'm originally from Scotland. And my family and I now live in northeast England, in North Yorkshire, where the first fracking operations in England have been approved since the ban on fracking was lifted in 2012. I'm sad to say that it has taken me to travel across the globe to Eugene to realise the momentous nature of what is happening and taking place in my own community.
And the Civil Liberties Defense Center is making sure we're represented pro bono if we wish. And we have very good counsel, and Charles Denson's here tonight. Let's give Charles a shout out for Civil Liberties Defense Center. They are heroes.
There have been 14 derailments of oil trains
since 2013 in the US and Canada, and all but 2 of them exploded. Most were carrying highly volatile fracked Bakken oil from North Dakota. These are the names of the communities which were harmed. July 5th, 2013, Lac Mégantic, Quebec, Canada. 47 people killed, 30 buildings destroyed, 1.6 million gallons of oil spilled. April 30th, 2014, Lynchburg, Virginia. 30,000 gallons of oil spilled into a river. February 14th, 2015, Ontario, Canada. The fire burned for days. February 16th, 2015, Mount Carbon, West Virginia. A house destroyed. Oil spilled into a river tributary. The fire burned for almost a week. May 6, 2015, Heimdall, North Dakota. 60,000 gallons of oil spilled. July 16, 2015, Culbertson, Montana. 35,000 gallons of oil spilled. November 7, 2015, Watertown, Wisconsin. Residents of dozens of homes evacuated. June 3rd, 2016, Mosier, Oregon, in the Columbia River Gorge. 200 school children and 100 residents evacuated. 23 miles of Interstate 84 closed. The city's wastewater treatment and sewer system shut down for days. 40,000 gallons of oil spilled.
Michael Garrigan, lead us out.
Shall pass.
Turn those trains around. Coal, oil, gas, none of these shall pass. Leave it in the ground, turn the trains around. Oil, gas, none of these shall pass. Leave it in the ground, turn the trains around.
Gas, none of these shall pass. Leave it in the ground, turn the trains around. Gas, none of these shall pass. Leave it in the ground, turn the trains around. Oil, gas, none of these shall pass. Leave it in the ground, turn the trains around.
It's very, very important and only the beginning. We have so much work to do. But you can see how it gets done. Meet with your neighborhood associations. Tell them that we could be a low carbon community. It's easier, it's more fun, it's quieter, it's healthier, everything about it is better. If we can do it, we can lead. Help us plan the Oil Train Summit here in the fall. We're going to bring in experts from all over. We want the neighborhoods to join in. We want to let the community know what's going on. You heard Dan Sears say we don't even know what's going through Oregon. They put in a Freedom of Information Act request to the Oregon Department of Transportation. They won't tell. Why won't they tell? It's a terrorist threat. Baloney. The Sierra Club is coming to our rescue, and they've got an in with the river keepers, and we're going to get that information so that we know what we're up against. Sign up for civil disobedience training. Who's been through the trainings here in Eugene? We've done dozens of trainings. Raise your hand high. Thank you. There will be more, and they're up to date. So we have some awesome trainers now. Of course, you can donate to the legal fund. You can donate to the work of Sierra Club 350 and Beyond Conflict. Anytime you want, we appreciate it. You can sign up for updates and get our newsletters. Go to our website. Educate yourselves and others on how to help this fossil fuel economy that we've got. It is not what we can live with, and you know it. I can see you already got the word. That is who we are. That is what we got to do. Thanks everybody for coming. We will see you in the street.